Hi, I'm Simon. The story of Tara Grant, a smart, driven and accomplished woman. Her life was taken just as fast as her life began. And before we get started, we would appreciate a like and subscribe to our channel so that we can continue to research and explore more information on getting justice for those victims that were lost or taken due to crime. This is Lawmax's Allegedly, so let's get started. Tara was born in Michigan in the year 1972. Growing up, she attended public school with her sister Alicia. Tara graduated from Michigan State University and earned a bachelor's degree. Before graduating, Tara fell in love while in college to a man named Lynn Grant. After graduation, they married. Stephen was seeking more of a political career, assisting a state senator till the senator retired. After which Stephen was basically out of a job and then was hired by his father to work in his small tool shop. Tara, after graduation, got a great international job that paid very well. After 4 years of marriage, Stephen and Tara had their first child, a daughter, and then a second child, a son, later on. Then they found a home in the county of Mom in the state of Michigan, not far from the city of Detroit. While the children were both young and needed both parents, Stephen was basically at home with the kids full-time while working in his father's tool shop, regularly. So, between school pickups, making lunches, helping with homework, not seeing his wife during the week, I would assume that Stephen is feeling a little inadequate and generally acting as a single parent. It must be not only lonely, but possibly neglected. So, at some period of time, Stephen and Tara had talks between flights home that it would be a lot of help if they would get a nanny or an au pair to take care of the kids. Which they both agreed. From the research that I did, it looks like Stephen did hire several different au pairs. That didn't work out very well. It was said that Stephen would look through their things, got upset from time to time on how they took care of the kids and so on. But not long, they hired an 18 to 19-year-old girl from Germany. She was not only young, but was not settled in her ways on how to take care of someone else's children. She was willing to take instruction. Her name was Verena Dierkes. Due to the nature of Tara's work, I would think that having an au pair in the house was a big help in the house. Tara's responsibility was packing a bag and flying out of the country on the regular and returning home on the weekend. So, due to that, Verena was responsible of taking care of the children full-time and living in the home. When Tara would come home, she would be faced with tension and arguments from Stephen. But Tara was successful in her career, and it was demanding. She promised that moment that she received that promotion that she was working for, she would at that moment slow down and work less out of town so that she could be with her family more. Stephen would get a resentful and insecure thinking that his wife was probably having an affair in these countries. Stephen was certain that it couldn't have been all work. This also led to frequent arguments when she returned home from work, only to turn right around and head back on a flight out of the country for work, again, maybe, just 2 days later, after spending a short time with the kids and/or with her husband Stephen. He even would put trackers on her computer. February 14, 2007, Valentine's Day. A turn of events. Stephen had made a call to the police in concern of his wife Tara. He explained that he had not heard from her. She usually would call to speak to the kids or ask about them. He mentioned that the last time he saw her was on February 9th, when she returned home from work. They quickly got into an argument after she said that she would be leaving to catch a flight back to work a day early. The police then wanted to know why had Stephen waited 5 days later to call the police. And Stephen explained he didn't feel alarmed by her absence due to they had just had an argument that day on the 9th, and she, not long afterwards, had called a car service to pick her up at the end of the block. He went on to say that Tara's parents had not heard from her, either along with her boss, whom had called on Monday 12th, saying that she did not show for work. While at the police station, the detectives noticed some scratches on Stephen's skin. So they asked him if those scratches had anything to do with the recent argument they had. He assured them that they were not from his argument with her, but from work-related injuries at his father's store. So they told Stephen that they would need to search their home for any whereabouts of her. When the police arrived, they discovered that all of Tara's belongings, her wallet and her suitcases, were missing from her home. Stephen had given them access to Tara's computer, where they could see that she hadn't used her bank accounts or credit cards for money. In the 5 days of missing, that can be a large clue. With her supposedly out of town for work, one would assume that she would need money for hotel, food, etc. The detectives asked Stephen if he had anything to do with the disappearance of his wife. At which, he said, "Absolutely not." That got Stephen very upset. Then they asked if he would be willing to take a lie detector test. He refused. Stephen had sought out to get a lawyer to help him. Later on, Stephen had decided, along with his attorney, his also, counsels him not to do the lie detector test. Due to Stephen having a revoked driver's license and driving a motor vehicle, regardless, the police was able to arrest him on the unrelated charge, since he had become the prime suspect in the disappearance of his wife, Tara Grant. Stephen was able to make bail and returned home. The detectives were able to check cell phone records of Tara's cell phone and noticed that the only call that came in was from her on the day of her disappearance, calling Stephen from the airport to let him know that she would be home soon. This was interesting, because Stephen had told the detectives that when Tara arrived home from the airport, she received a call from a driver that would pick her up in a black car at the end of the block. Due to the now media attention, the company that the au pair worked under, they thought that it would be best for her to return to Germany, but not before the police had a chance to talk to her. The police had also discovered through text messages that Stephen and the 19-year-old nanny was having an affair while his wife was on business trips, and it looked as if it was still going on during and after his wife's disappearance. Detectives had also found out that he had rekindled a relationship with an old girlfriend. But being a cheater doesn't necessarily mean that you are a murderer. With no real evidence on the husband and weeks into the investigation and not hearing from Tara, the detectives began to treat this like a homicide. So the community started a search for Tara's body. February 28th, 2007. One day while walking a trail, a woman saw a bag up under a tree covered with leaves. Inside the bag, there was rubber gloves and some dark red substance at the bottom of the bag. She decided to take it to the police station. Days later, the dark red substance came back from autopsy as human blood. The police amped up the search for Tara, but Stephen never joined in the search party. He would continue to talk to the media, trashing Tara's name, making her look like a bad mother. March 2nd, 2007. After interviewing with a reporter, Stephen returned home and found the police with a warrant to search his home. Stephen called his lawyer. The lawyer asked if his client was under arrest. The police said that he was not. Stephen said that he wanted to walk his dog and asked if it would be okay. The police would search up and down stairs till they made it to the garage. They found, in the garage, a large bend. Once they opened the lid, there were 5 plastic bags. In the bags were dismembered body parts of what looked like remains of a woman. The police had suspected Stephen to be the person responsible, and being that he did not return from his dog walk, the police would be on a manhunt to find Stephen Grant, in case if he is on the run. Stephen knew with the search warrant on his house, they would soon find the body parts in the garage. So, he borrows a friend's pickup truck. Alongside with a gun and a bottle of liquor, he started to drive far away. Meanwhile, the police were tracking him by his cell phone, while other officers were putting together a search for the rest of the remains of Tara Grant. The police found other remains near the home, including the head wrapped up in a bag. While in search for Stephen, the police also received an unexpected call from German au pair Verena. She said that she had just gotten a call from Stephen Grant and he had admitted to killing his wife. Fast forwarded to February 21st, 2008, it was here where Stephen gave grave details in the courtroom on how he killed and dismembered his wife's body. That last evening that Tara got home from the airport, according to Stephen's testimony, he said they quickly got into an argument due to her constant absence at home and his insecurities about their relationship. He said that she slapped him, and that's when he went into a rage, and according to the autopsy, Tara was strangled. He then removed all of his clothes and, while naked, wrapped up Tara's body, carried her from their bedroom downstairs to the garage and in the back of their truck. The next day, he drove her body to his father's tool shop and dismembered her body and put it in several bags. In days, he tried placing her remains all over the park area not far from their home. Now, this is winter in Michigan. So, I'm thinking, in his mind, he probably feels that because of the snow, no one will find her for a while. Of course, he was wrong, and to police and volunteers starting that search party, he went back out to collect the parts that he could find. He put those parts back into his garage in a storage bin. But finally, February 2008, he was found guilty of first-degree murder for more than 50 years. That concludes this episode. This is Simon Brighton. We'll see you next time on Lomax's Allegedly. Good night.